ready.
Welcome to another episode of Buff in the Rough. Wouldn't it be nice to have a beagle that could hunt, be competitive, and win in multiple registries? Wouldn't it be nicer if you could take that same beagle and hunt him in any type of weather you can throw at him and still be competitive and successful? Is it being greedy to want to have it all? Is it possible to even have it all? Today we're going to talk beagles with a former amateur MMA fighter from Northeast Pennsylvania. Hear his thoughts on running hounds in multiple registries and formats, learn more about his top hound Dunn Hills Comanche, and a whole lot more. Help me welcome Jacob Lamphere to the program. Well, hey Jacob, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Sam. How about yourself?
Well, I can't complain. I'm excited to have you on. You came as a recommendation from a friend of ours, Patrick, up in New York State, Patrick Duran, and he's given me a couple leads on some guys up in your part of the country, and he said you really need to talk to Jacob. He's a good story, and he's been doing some winning up here and a couple different registries, and you need to have him on. He's got a really good dog, and I was like, absolutely, we'll reach out to Jacob. But before I start hammering you with questions, Jacob, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got started in this. How'd you get started in rabbit hunting?
Well, my name's Jake, as you said, Jacob Lamphere. I'm from Tawana, Pennsylvania. It's northeastern Pennsylvania, right about 25 miles south of the New York State border. I got into beagles because as a young boy, my Uncle Matt and his best buddy Jack Johnson had some rabbit dogs. They actually had quite a few throughout the years when I was a young lad, and I always took a liking to anything my uncles were doing. Just like any young hillbilly boy, I always wanted to follow in their footsteps. So they kind of took me along, and then that was pretty much a long story short. That was the start and the end of it. And ever since, I was probably about 11, my uncle bought me my first beagle, and I've had at least one ever since.
And how old are you now about? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out. So,
I'll be 37 in September.
So that's 27 years worth of beagling. You've been doing this a while.
Yeah. I didn't get much into the competition until probably around 8 years ago or so. I dabbled a little bit before, just handled a few dogs for a buddy. I kind of liked it. I was busy. I had dogs at the time, but I had other stuff I was competing in, doing. I did some dirt track racing and a little bit of amateur MMA fighting. But I kind of really liked it, and then I jumped in, and then, well, it was long. That wasn't a very long road for me. I had a little bit of success. First trial I went to was the AKC trial, and I got NVQ or 5th. And then that was the end of it for me. I was hooked.
Well, I want to talk more about your trialing too, but before we get started on that, tell us a little bit about what it's like to hunt where you live. Like, describe what it's like in kind of that northeast PA. I mean, what does it look like there? The land, is it hilly, flat? You got a lot of water or not? I mean, thick, open?
A lot of rolling hills.
Mm-hmm.
There is some flat pieces here and there, but it's a lot of rolling hills, old farmlands. The type of brush and stuff we'd be hunting mostly is probably multiflower rose and autumn olive, and the old crab apple orchards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you do get your occasional brush field at an old farm pasture just growed up.
Well,
but nothing too wide open. It's pretty thick.
Well, describe the kind of dog you need to be successful there. I mean, what describe it?
It's got to hunt pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said, it's pretty thick. So you're not just gonna, especially in the wild around here, you're not just gonna meander around and stumble upon too many. You're gonna have to go in there and find them. But there is a decent number of rabbits here too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you have to spend all day, but you got to go in the bush. Sometimes you really got to dig in there to dig one out.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to have a good nose, because here where we live in northeastern PA, we get every type of weather throughout the seasons. We get a winter, we'll get snow, we'll get the icy snow. We'll have, early in the fall, like the falls, we'll get the hard frost that some places get. And then, in the late spring, early summer, it does get hot and pretty dry here as well. So you got to have a pretty good nose and a pretty steady, consistent dog to keep track going, like just about anywhere, I'd say.
Well, you read my mind, because my next question was going to be, what's the weather like there? And you guys have, it sounds like 4 seasons. I mean, really, it
yes,
keeps
we do.
changing.
We get it a little bit of everything, I wouldn't say we get hammered like the New York State guys do with the snow.
Mm-hmm.
Consistent, but we do get a snowstorm or two here where we'll get, maybe a foot or so. But there's steady inch or 2 or 3. Once winter hits, there's pretty steady snow.
Well, you've been doing this for over 25 years. That's a good chunk of time. And I know you've probably had people like us, like all of us, had people that come in and out of your life. But who's been your biggest influence to this point?
Up to this point, I have a few, but the one that would be probably the most influential into the type of dogs and stuff that I'm running at this point would be my buddy Grady Robinson. And then I'd have to say my other 2 buddies, Jared Parsons and JD Johnson. We all pretty much, we hunt together and run together quite often. JD lives right down the road. He's married to my cousin. Me and Jared own a dog or 2 together. Grady lives right by the club, and we were all, we get together and go hunting quite a bit and do some running in the springtime and summer and the off season with the young dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to say those guys for the kind of type of dogs that we're running and what we all kind of like, and who's giving information on what they might see that's, might catch, I might like it a little more than they did, or I might see something that they might like a little more than I do, their kind of style of stuff. We all run typically the same amount, like similar style stuff, but a little different. But if I have a question, or I need an answer on something, or I want some real good advice, I'd have to say Grady Robinson's father, Bill, is who I would be my go-to. Like if I have, if I'm running the dog, getting them ready for a hunt, maybe I want to tweak something. I mean, I'll run it by my buddies too, but I always seems like I always ask Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Bill's been doing it longer than I've been alive, so he gives me good advice.
There's no substitute for experience. There's just not.
That's right.
Well, you just won a pretty good hunt up there. It's my understanding. The Kenny Moyer Memorial Hunt. Tell us a little about that hunt, if you could, or if you could share a little history about it, and maybe even a little about Kenny, if you know any history on Kenny, and kind of lay the foundation for the hunt, and then we'll talk about the hunt too. But kind of what is it? Where is it? What club puts it on? Is that a well-attended hunt? Is that one of your bigger hunts and that kind of stuff?
So, Kenny Moyer Hunt is held at the Towanda Beagle Club, and I'm actually a member of the Towanda Beagle Club. But Kenny was a long-time member, actually he's a lifetime member of the Towanda Beagle Club. I believe he was the secretary. I know he was the field trial secretary for the AKC trial portion, part of our club. He was also the master of hounds for the UKC portion.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to see Kenny quite a bit. If you were into the trialing business up here at the Towanda Beagle Club, you got to see Kenny. And he was just a real nice, always calm and collected, pleasure to be around, and was just always super nice to anybody. And it was a sad day that he passed. And us guys, when he passed, was, I believe, in maybe February of 2024. I know it was in 2024, right before we started our UKC hunts. And we all thought it would be something good to do and to give back, to show our appreciation for Kenny. So we put on a Kenny Moyer hunt that year. And we drew pretty good. We drew our local regular club guys and yada yada. But now we've been doing it in year 3, and it's gotten a little bit bigger. We're giving out some prizes, a little bit of cash, a trophy. We do a Calcutta for the 2 rounds that it is. just trying to make it grow. And we did. I think we had 30, right around 30 dogs for the 2 rounds this year, which is actually, excuse me, almost 40. It was 36.
Damn.
18 in the first round and 16 in the second, which was solid. We were hoping for at least 40 or more this year, but it was close. There was other hunts going on, too.
Well, I'll tell you, Jake, that's really good. I love hearing about these memorial hunts. These old timers and down here in these clubs that I go to, we had a stretch there. It seemed like we lost like 4 really old time guys that had been here forever, all in like a stretch of a couple years, and it was a big loss. And you can't replace these guys. Forget it. You just can't. But it's so important to remember them. And they've left a big shoes to fill for sure. Big time legacy there that they've left behind. But I'm glad y'all are doing that and remembering him. He sounds like a really super guy. So walk us through what that weekend was like for you. Like, when you went to that hunt that first day, did you think you were going to win it all? I mean, and tell us kind of how the weekend went.
Well, so the hunt itself is just a 1-day 2-rounder. There has been talk of trying to maybe next year or the following to make it a 2-day 4-rounder. So that way maybe we could draw some more guys from out of the region, make it worth their while. But that is not set in stone. But that's something we're going to look into we just got to make sure we got everything set in stone and got enough guides and places to take guys if we were to do something like that. But to be honest, no, I didn't think I was going to win it. I thought I could compete for it. The first 2 years we've had it, the same guy has won it, Lance Carroll from up in New York State. I believe he's up in the Albion Club with his dog Blue Jewel. He went back to back, so I was kind of figuring he was going to be pretty, he's got to be the top dog for who you think's the favorite. Mm-hmm. And then there were some other guys around here that have been pretty hot, heavy, and doing some winning. So, I expected to do okay, maybe win one, compete in the other, lose the second one or something close. I thought my dog, I'm confident. I thought he could do it. Mm-hmm. But it's pretty good competition here, so I wasn't expecting to.
Well, what were some of the best hounds you hunted against?
Well, the first round I ran against Chris Rogan and his dog Banshee, I don't even know if he lost the cast up until this point here at Towanda this year. And he was also the New York State champion back-to-back this year and last year. I drew him and Jamie Miller and his champion Gator. It was just a 3-dog cast, that one. And I ended up winning that with Comanche. And then in the second round, I drew Jamie again. And I drew Lance Carroll and Blue Jewel. And I was fortunate enough to pull out another win in that one.
Well, Jake, I got to tell you, just hearing you talk about who you had to beat, you beat a 2-time New York State champion and a 2-time Memorial champion. So you had to go through probably the best dogs in the area up there to win this thing.
Yeah, some of them for sure.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed, you were talking about prize packages and stuff, and I might get out in the weeds a little bit on this, but one of the things I saw a picture, like your winning picture, and it had the prizes out there, and there was a walking stick. I'm trying to figure out what in the world was on top of that walking stick. It looked like the handle part was like a turkey foot or something with like a spur on it. Tell me about that walking stick.
That was a handmade walking stick by a Towanda club member, Ricky Johnson. And it was, like you said, it had carved notches up and down it and engraved. And it had the Kenny Memorial on the side with the year on it. And the very top, like you said, where the handle is a turkey foot with spur. Nice spur. It was pretty nice.
I got to tell you, I've never seen anything like it. I thought it was really cool looking.
It was really nice, slick. I thought it was pretty slick myself, and I have that hanging up down in my little man cave, in my house, on the wall. I don't need the walking stick yet, but there will be a time that comes I'm going to need that walking stick. So I sure am glad I got it.
Yeah, hang on to that. Well, I thought it was really unique. A lot of these clubs, I give them a lot of credit for trying to be, try to make it a memorable plaque, trophy, whatever they're giving away, to make it something that you just see on the wall and it just instantly takes you back to that hunt. But I got to tell you, I've never seen anything like that. I thought it was really cool, really unique, and I wanted to make sure we gave somebody credit for that, for
Yep, that was
being so
really
creative. What to win and to beat these hounds, you've got to have a pretty good dog. So tell us about this dog, Comanche. Now that's the dog you won with. Now tell us a little about him, and for people that maybe haven't seen a picture of him, tell us what he looks like, what he sounds like, how he hunts, where he came from, how did you end up hunting him, and if you know a little bit about what he came out of, even some pedigree if you got it.
I got Andy because a buddy of mine, Grady Robinson, I was talking about breeding my female. And we got talking about the type of dog I was looking for. And he said, well, let me talk to one of my buddies that lives out in the western part of the state, closer to Ohio. And he come back with this, he told him what we was looking for to breeder team, something we was looking to get out of it. And he said, I got the dog just for you guys. And happened to be a Geneva Marsh's Texas Red, a little pack Hall of Fame dog that he had personally seen. A mutual friend of mine and Grady's had personally seen him run. And then Grady sent me a picture of him, and I'm a sucker for a red dog or a red tick. And he's a nice red and a little bit of white on him, red and brown. He's got a black butcher and a female that come out of Black Eagle, Big Meadows Black Eagle. So we bred that and had a litter, and I kept Comanche. So that's how I got him. I had him ever since. Born and raised right in my yard, never left. He's 3 July 4th. So he's still decently young yet, just starting to come into his own, starting to come into his prime. He hunts really good. I mean, he stays real busy. He's kind of, I won't say real fast hunter, but he's not real methodical. I mean, he covers ground. But he's always busy, always in and out of the bush, always looking for a rabbit. Not really looking to trail one per se. He's looking to actually looking to jump one. In my eyes, some guys don't think there's much of a difference.
Well, how does he look? How does he look? He's like a black and tan, a lot of black and tan.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Black and tan with a big white patch on his chest.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got white feet. Just his feet are white. But he has no tail. I had to get his tail docked off because it ended up getting infected somehow when he was younger. They think the doc thought a thorn or something got stuck in the end of it. So we had to dock some of that off.
Well, he's a good-looking little dog, I'll tell you that. I really like the looks of him.
He's probably about 14 and a quarter, 14 and a half inches tall. He's not a true 15, but he's a 15-inch hound if he was running in the AKC formats, where they have to run in a class.
Well, how do you get him ready for a hunt? Do you do anything special, or you just take him and hunt him? I mean, do you hunt him solo? Do you hunt him with other dogs? Do you brace him? Well, how does that work? How do you get him ready?
Well, before the trial, if it's trial, before I'm getting ready for a trial, I definitely try to solo him some. For a couple, at least 2 weeks. I'd like to try, 3 or 4. I know I'm going to a bigger hunt and I have the time where there's not a hunt. And then 2 weeks later, I'm going to another hunt, or even the very next weekend. But even so, I try to solo, but I just don't solely solo. I'll solo 3 or 4 times, and then maybe brace or throw him in a trio. To keep that competitive edge on him seems to help with him type of style and how he runs. At least I've had other dogs where it seemed like they just needed solo the whole time, and I've had others where they needed to seem like braced or even in a little pack of 3 or 4 to keep them right where they're at their peak.
Yeah, it's just interesting. They're all different. They're like people in so many ways. They all have their own little personalities and their own little quirks and traits, and you got to find out what works for them. Well, you mentioned hunting in AKC and UKC, and do you hunt the same dog in both of those formats?
Yes, sir.
And you can be successful in both of those formats. Tell us a little bit about, because I've never field trial in AKC. To me, I've been to field trials and watched them. I've done all UKC hunter and hound type format at this point. But tell us a little bit about the differences between those two kinds of hunts. How are they similar, maybe, and how they're different?
Well, in AKC, they break them down into classes by size and sex. So females will run against females, and they have 13-inch, which is 13-inch and under, and then anything over 13 to 15 is the 15-inch class. Same for the males for the measurements, and the males will only run against the males. But you can't be over 15, and you can't be over 13 to be in the 2 classes. And then say 30 dogs show up, it's just a number, 30 or whatever number. They break them down into classes of 7 or 8 for the first series. You know, turn them loose. Every dog will get a different colored collar. There'll be 2 judges. And they'll turn them loose and get them on a rabbit or watch them run, and the judges will score them by how their format has them. And all the judges have to take a seminar and pass that, and you have to judge so many trials before you can be the head judge. You have to judge with someone that's judged at least 10, I believe, or something like that. And they'll let them run for however long they needed to let them run until they get them down to usually about 2 or 3 out of that pack. And then they'll break them down, and they'll just do that until they get them down to where they want them. And if they run them down and there's enough just to go to a winner's pack, they'll go to a winner's pack, which is no more than 10. So if there's more than 10 dogs coming back, they'll do a second series. And they'll do the same thing. They'll break them down into packs of 7 or 8, I believe. Turn them loose, let the judges run them until they decide what they've got for score and what dogs they want to keep until they get to the winner's pack, and then they'll do it again, and then they decide who the winner is.
Well, that's a good summary. Now tell us kind of a little bit about UKC and how that works.
Now in UKC, it's never more than 4 in a pack. You go out, it's always in the wild. I didn't say that earlier. AKC is typically around here, usually in a fenced-in area. The UKC's wild, no more than 4. You take your dogs out, get going, you turn them loose. Dog in when it barks. On for the 3rd bark, you declare your dog struck. Everybody straight points for that. 150 again for a 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Then hopefully they just keep running it until they circle it where you can see it, and then you score you mark a line where you see the rat across. You mark a spot. Dogs come across within reason. Most guys typically use arms. And you score dogs in accordance there. 100, 80, 185, 70, 55, I believe. And then they do that, hopefully, another 2 times. You can only score 3 lines on a rabbit, then you catch them. Do that again until a clock runs out on your hour and a half in a perfect world. Mm-hmm. But there is other things, the rules where you lose it, you get minus, and yada yada, as in any other format.
So thank you for that, especially for people that maybe haven't hunted in one or the other of those formats. That's a really good explanation of how they work. So it's interesting. to think that a dog could compete in both of those because they sound pretty different in how they're set up at least, and how they're judged.
A little bit, but similar in certain areas. So I think if you have a good rabbit dog that can compete in almost any format, I mean, they should be able to realistically.
Well, do you? Because I think of maybe a UKC type dog possibly getting into trouble in like a UKC hunt because they're. I think when I think of, and I'm stereotyping a UKC dog, I'm thinking of a really hard hitting, want to push for the front kind of dog. Maybe doesn't run the cleanest line in the world, and I think that's a place where maybe a dog like that could get in trouble in a UKC trial. Is that true, or are they really not as strict?
Absolutely.
Okay, I thought that was the case.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
But at least in this region up here, the AKs in certain places up here in the IBGA part, there's a lot of, we're so close to the New York State border. A lot of the trials are in New York State where they're a hard hitting style because they're running hair up there most of the time. Don't get me wrong, they have trials on Cottontail too, but guys are running a little harder hitting than what most guys think of when they think of AKC, I think, at least in this region, compared to others.
I think it's awesome that you can hunt in multiple formats with the same dog.
Well, you don't always have a great, you don't always get on the bench every time.
Right.
But it can be done.
It can be done.
It can be done with both.
Well, as you've hunted in competition, maybe over the last 8 years or so, tell us about tell us who the best judge is that you've hunted with.
Best judge I've hunted with, well, I'm going to have to give two because it won't be right just to say one because they're brothers. It would be the Rogan brothers, Chris and Cliff Rogan. And I've been on lots of casts with both of those, and I've actually gone other places to bigger hunts and had them actually be the judges and drawn out with them, and they're just good. They're honest. Rarely hear a problem, have a problem, and it's always a great time. And they're always usually packing a pretty good dog, and they bring their A game, so I always enjoy drawing out with them as well.
Mm-hmm. And what's the nicest thing anybody's ever done for you at one of these hunts?
Oh, I couldn't say who because it's happened plenty. Help me catch my dog sometimes.
We've all been there. At some time or another.
A handful.
Yep.
He listens, he'll come, but he just don't stop moving sometimes. You better get a hold of him. And there's been plenty of those. So, yeah, that's by far, that goes a long ways with me right there. Mm-hmm. Keep the time and let's get back to the show and let's get the show rolling.
Yeah, there's nothing like good sportsmanship like that when you have folks in the cast willing to help each other. And it does. It makes everything run smoothly. And you tend to get out of there a little faster too. As you've done this, and there's always friendly rivalries in any time that you're participating in any kind of sport. But is there somebody out there you just really like to beat more than anybody else?
Not necessarily. I can't. No, but there's definitely a handful of guys that I really enjoy drawing out. Like, it's not like, for me, I don't want to draw him.
Well, tell us about a couple of those guys.
Two of them I mentioned earlier with Chris and Cliff Rogan, the Rogan brothers. Lance Carroll and his brother, Landon. The Ayers clan, Mike, Garrett, Rob, Tyler. There's a few more. There's just so many guys right now in our area in the champion class. Zach Kaufman, Pat Duran's another. I had solid dogs. It really is just a pleasure to draw out with these guys and to run against them. For me, it's not. It's not per se I want to beat them. I just want to let's have the best dogs down today and let's see what happens.
I hear you. it's natural to want to tweak things and make it better. I think as you've hunted in these competition hunts, if you could add or subtract or modify any rule out there, what would you add, subtract, or modify?
Oh, well, the big thing, like everybody says, would be something would be able to use a toner just to help the guys catch the dogs. Not, I don't necessarily for me, but the older gentlemen and the young kids could definitely benefit from it. But I know I can see why. I see both sides of why it's not available to our use at the moment. Mm-hmm. There's just too much gray areas where guys, I think, not saying they will, it might be a very low percentage that ever did it, but there is where I could see advantages of someone having that, and they could try to use it to their advantage.
Oh yeah, I think you're always going to have people on the margins that are going to press as hard as they can, and
you got a few guys that are there to win at all costs.
Yeah,
that's a very, very, very slim number that I've come across.
I just think you make it really.
I've been doing it. It's, for at least in our area here, it's more of a good. Let's just let the dogs go, and don't get me wrong, it's we're competitive. Everybody here is paying their $20. They want to win, but that's not the sole purpose, it seems, for the vast majority, and that's what makes it so great. And I think that's why our numbers just keep growing for our little circuit of clubs that we have here.
Mm-hmm. I think most of the people I talk to and ask that question of, if I had an unofficial poll that goes something like this, the majority, and I think it's a pretty big majority, would like to see that change. So you can tone your dog during timeouts to catch them if they, and the big reason is for safety.
Yes.
Because we all have had, maybe not you, but I certainly have, the dog that would bump a deer or end up getting close to a road, and you want to get them back. You want to protect the dog. But you're always, like you said, you're going to have cheaters. I just think you change the rule and you make it really, really painful if somebody gets caught. I mean, a really, really long suspension.
That's what I was just going to say. A year-long suspension start maybe or something.
Yeah, I just think.
Second offense, you're 3 years. Yeah. Third time, you're done.
Yeah, I just think there's a way to make that work for everyone.
But then again, I think some of the things that would be hard to prove, because if you go and let them use a toner collar, I don't know if they. Maybe they do. I don't know if they make a tone collar that doesn't have the prongs. Mm-hmm. But even so, the vibrate button is what keeps coming to my mind. There's going to eventually, if they allow that, there'll be somebody that trains their dog to whatever they want it to do off the vibrate. So then no one's even suspicious unless you're watching them push that button. Mm-hmm. So that vibrate doesn't make a noise at all. It's not powerful enough to make a dog make a noise.
This debate will go on. This debate will go on.
It'll go on forever until for the end of time.
I think most registries have something in place. Not all, but most of them.
Some do it to some way or another. Some, I think, let you put them on, but you have to leave the handheld with the judge or at the clubhouse, yada yada, or in the truck. Even I don't know.
Well, I want to switch gears a little bit and start talking about maybe favorite places to hunt. As you've been out there and you've competed and traveled around, do you have a favorite part of the country that you like to hunt in?
Oh, down by Waynesburg. That was really nice, and I went down there a few times. I've been down that way. They put on a good hunt every time down there. And then, where else? I went to Maryland. That was nice. Where was that club? I can't remember. Hub City, maybe, I believe. I know that Mike Toberry and Maurice and those boys were in charge of that place. J.R. Burt. They put on that was a great time. Me and my buddy Grady went down there. That was a great time. Those guys know how to have fun. They put us on rabbits. And And then I enjoy going to all the clubs that we just have up our way here in New York State and PA. Albion, Branchport, Unadilla, Corning, our home club here, Towanda. There's one more that's semi-close within 2-3 hours here that I haven't been able to make it down to yet, but I would like to try to get down there one time too, and that's at Steens Hollow.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to tell you that the hunting up in your area is really good. That Waynesburg, PA area, that was some of the best hunting I've ever seen.
4 hours south of us, but man, that was some like you were just getting ready to say. Sorry to interrupt, but that was some great running down there, and they're great guys. They seem to put on a great show, and they put you on rabbits.
Yeah, it was a terrific day down. I really enjoyed hunting there. That was a really good experience. So tell me about a favorite hunting memory. Just if you think back to all these years of hunting, and it doesn't have to be competition. It could just be hunting with your friends. Tell us about a really good memory that you have.
Oh, I'd probably have to say, when me and my buddy JD we were just old enough. He was old enough to be driving. We took a couple of his dad's dogs, and a couple of my uncle's dogs, and we went rabbit hunting one day. And it was nothing special, nothing spectacular about it. I mean, it was a good hunt. We killed our limits of rabbits, but we they had a new dog that was a grandpup to one of their dogs, and he wasn't the greatest dog in the world. He was fast, but he was rough. He was a cheater. But man, when I was a teenager, I didn't really give two hoots about that stuff. I mean, he was action-packed, so I liked him. And his name was Bam Bam. And a couple of the guys there, when they listen to this podcast from around here, are going to laugh. They don't know exactly who I'm talking about. Well, he had it was either a son or a grandpup to him, and the dog's name was Bozo, big blue tick. And he was a chip off the old block. I mean, that dog, it was just something to see. It was almost like that was the first time I actually got to see genetics passed down. He even looked like Bam Bam. He was him almost reincarnated. A little different, but not much. Very, very similar. But I always remember that day.
It's really cool to see that, to see a dog that looks just like their mom, their dad, their grandsire, granddam, and then they act like them too. That is a really cool moment. That really is. That's a good one. That's a good pick.
That was the first time I ever really got to notice that, because I didn't really have many dogs at that point in my life and wasn't into the breeding or nothing. But my uncle and his buddy Jack were, and I just happened to be best friends with his son. But that always stick in my mind, how much that dog was similar to that one.
Mm-hmm. Jake, you've done this for a while, and anytime you're out hunting, crazy stuff tends to happen. I mean, you just see some weird stuff while you're out hunting. And I like to ask people, what's one of the craziest things you've ever seen while you've been out on a hunt?
Well, it had to be me and my buddy Larry Nichols. And the funny thing is, he was showing me this video that he's seen where a rabbit climbed up this tree, like a little spruce pine tree off the ground. I mean, like 2 or 3 foot. It climbed up in there and was hiding. Well, we went hunting the next day. We're running, and race kind of comes to a halt. We can kind of see the dogs down there, and they just keep circling this little tree. And he said, "Well, wouldn't that be something if there's that rabbit down there climbing up in the tree?" When we get down there, the tree was leaning a little bit, close to like a 45-degree angle. Well, it didn't climb up in the tree, but 2.5 foot up there, just high enough the dogs couldn't get it to it. There was a rotten hole where the rabbits and squirrels must have burrowed back in. You could look down in there, and that sucking rabbit was down in that, back down in halfway down in that tree where you just couldn't reach in with your arm and get it. And the dog, you couldn't get it from the bottom because it wasn't rooted out at the bottom. But that was one of the craziest things, just because he was showing me that, and we talked about it the day before, and we went out and had a similar experience.
Yeah, what are the odds that would happen right after you saw that?
And that's just so what he said to me. He said, "What's the chances?"
You can't make this stuff up. So tell us about one of the most impressive dogs, maybe one of the hottest dogs in the country right now that you've seen. Maybe in the last year or two. What dog out there it really caught your eye?
Well, I got to give my little buddy here, Loudon, local boy Loudon Robson. We went out to the World Hunt last year, and he took his male dog that he was running and handling and put him in the top 16. I mean, he didn't make the World Finals, but he made the top 16, and let me tell you, that was some of the best I've seen. I've seen that dog quite a bit, Ron. That was the best I've seen out of that dog out there. And I mean, he was really performing, minus a break here or there. He very well could have been in the final forecast. But there were some others out there we saw too. Jacob Coons had this Bella dog. The Rambo dog of Red Smoke Kennels, the Ransom Boys, Red Rambo. He made the Final Four. Chris, this way, Banshee of Chris Rogan, he's been a hot item. I really like him. He's a really tough dog to beat. And there's quite a few up here this way that, a handful. When you draw them, they're a handful. You better be ready.
That's a good list. I mean, those are some really impressive dogs. So if you...
And there's definitely more. There's some I missed. I mean, I'm not shaking claim to anybody. But they're just the ones that are sticking out right now. I mean, if I thought long enough, I could probably talk for hours or two.
Well, I guarantee you left somebody out, and they're going to be mad, and they'll probably call you after they hear this.
I don't want nobody to feel bad, because I'm sure I left out dogs that are better than even the ones that I've brought up. Not saying that they're not, because they're all good dogs.
You've been doing this for a while, and you know how important it is to kind of, as you focus on your main dog, and it sounds like Comanche's probably that dog for you right now, doing a lot of winning with him. He's impressive. He's still young. But you're always looking at what's next. Do you have a young pup that you kind of got your eye on that you're thinking, well, maybe that's the next one coming behind Comanche? Do you have anything like that yet?
That's just human nature with anything.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy Jared Parsons, we have a young male that we got from Jacob Coons. He's about a year and a half old. We just actually championed him in UKC. So we probably won't enter him in too many more trials this year. We'll just run him up this spring and summer and get into the early fall when the trials kind of start back up around this way and around the area, and see if he's ready for the big leagues yet. We like what we're seeing out of him, so we're kind of expecting a little bit out of him. I just got a pup from out to Ohio from Wesley Guy out of Country Lane Hydro, and one of his Firestorm females, Nova, I believe. That one's some Butcher and Big Meadows and a little bit of Fox Creek bred. I'm pretty excited to get that one started here shortly to see what he's got. But as of right now, that's about it. I'm looking to hopefully breed my female Jane again this summer.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy just bred his female to Chris Rogan's Banshee dog, actually. So, and I'm on the list for one of them. I'm real excited about that.
That sounds like some good stuff. What's the name of the dog that you got from Jacob Coons? What's your young male's name? So we'll be looking for him.
River. We call him River. Dunn Hill and Thurston's Hide Holler River.
River, okay.
He was out of their Red Runner, out of their world champion Red Runner, and I should know their grand champion Talk Dirty to Me female.
Well, they've got some winning dogs out there. They really do. A couple world champs.
Yes, sir. How do I argue against that? And then Mitch Gould with the Heat 'em Up Kennels. It's hard to argue against what them guys have been doing in the beagling world.
Mm-hmm. As you look ahead into the future, what's going to be the biggest challenge for future hunters?
Keeping ground, I believe, for especially the UKC, keeping that ground to be able to run in the wild. Seems that every day just gets to be a spot or two less here, or a spot or two less there.
Yeah,
whether it be from developments or just the day and age of where some people are just scared that something might happen and they might get sued.
yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's kind of like that question about if you could change a rule or something. It seems like most people want to talk about using the collars and being able to tone. And with this question, most people definitely say loss of access to a good hunting land. And I'm with you on the UKC thing. They're not because they don't hunt in pens that I know of in any of their formats. Um, I don't know. If I had a crystal ball and I looked into the future where I live, I think that may have to be an option in the future because of all of the development around here. It's just I don't know that we won't have a choice um, but to do it, but to hunt and hunting and pens, kind of like the AKC guys do. But I also want to say, in their defense, AKC and maybe some of the other formats, I've hunted in them before with other people and spectated, and they were so big. Those pens were like 30 and 40 acres, a lot of them or more.
Oh, yes.
I never felt like I was in a pen. I
No.
didn't, I never felt like I was, and I think so many people are like, oh, they hunt in a training pen, and they think about these little 1 acre puppy pens or something, No, that's not what it is at all. You certainly could run in there for hours and hours and hours and not even cover the pen in some cases. So I see that too.
Yeah.
I worry about the guys like you said, like UKC that depend solely on just open land. And I just think as land gets gobbled up, that's going to be a bigger concern in the future. So I agree with you. I think that's a good one. So, do you have any advice for people that maybe are thinking about getting a beagle, maybe getting into hunting rabbits? I mean, what would you tell somebody thinking about it?
I tell them if they've never really been around anybody that's had hunting hounds of any kind or know somebody of the sort, I would try to find someone, get a hold of them, maybe tag along a few times, see what it's like, talk to them, maybe see what the type of dogs they are going to be like in the kennel, or if you want them in the house even. I know guys that keep them in the house. And then I'd ask them, maybe even ask them if they know somebody else that you could speak to get the gist of what you're looking to get into the dogs. Like, you're only going to get out of the dog what you put into it. That's what I'm getting at. I don't think a lot of people understand the amount of time it takes, especially if they want to think about getting into the competition aspect of it. And even the serious hunter that's hunting for more than just a couple, 3-4 weeks when deer season's over till when the weather gets bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a lot of time. Sometimes it might not start instantly. Might be frustrating. I think a lot of people get into it and they get in over their head and they're in and out before they even started.
Well, I think that's good advice. I mean, anytime you can be around, it sounds like you've got a really good group of guys up there where you live. So it would be easier for someone to reach out and get in with a good circle, and surround yourself with successful people, and next thing you know, you'll be successful. It's just kind of how life works that way. It really does, and it works like that in just life. Period. Just being successful as a person, maybe in your business decisions or whatnot. But it's the same way with beagles. I mean, you surround yourself with guys that can get it done, that have good dogs, know what they're doing, and breeding good dogs. I mean, next thing you know, yeah, it's that's good advice. That's very good advice. Well, as we wrap up, I want to ask you: is there anything that I didn't ask you about that I should have, or is there anything else that you want to talk about or promote? I don't know if you have a stud dog or pups coming up or hunts or anything like that. Do you have anything else you want to cover?
The Tawana Beagle Club here in Pennsylvania, we do have a AKC Derby trial June 6th. I believe the deadline for that is 8 a.m., so if anybody's looking for that or listens to this and whatnot. It might even be posted after that date, but I still help out my little club here and gave him a shout out.
Well, Jake, if people want to learn more about it, do you guys have a Facebook page, a website, or anything like that for Towanda?
We do have a Facebook page, and it's Towanda Beagle Club.
Very good. Towanda Beagle Club. Very good. Jake, thank you so much. It's been really interesting. I've really enjoyed talking to you and learning more about your dog. Sounds like Comanche. We're going to hear more from him, I've got a feeling. I think we're going to see more out of that dog. And it's just been a pleasure talking to you, and I just wish you the best with him and with your upcoming pups. And thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot for having me, Sam. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Buff in the Rough. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to be notified when new content is available. And please send comments and suggestions to buffintherough@gmail.com.